Welcome back. And our next speaker is Oleg. Hi, Oleg. Can you
Hi.
hear us?
Yes, I'm hearing you well.
Okay. How are you doing today?
Oh, the great fine.
Good. So we give you the floor and please share your presentation.
Okay, let me try to do that. Um, as I can see, there is only possibility to share. Is it possible to share only one screen? Let me check. Let me
You
check.
might just go from screen to screen, but it's still
Yeah.
possible.
So just give me. Let's try. Okay. Can you see me and my screen?
Oh, yeah, that will be
Yeah. Does it work right
happening.
now?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay. So cool.
Okay.
Let me start. So just a couple minutes for introducing myself. So my name is Oleg. The second name is last name is Lusarchuk. So I'm leading the design department in Ukrainian software company called Elex. So it's a like a world recognized international company with the offices in the European Union, in London, and in Berlin. So a lot of capacity offices in Ukraine and also in Estonia. So that's the European part. So also I'm based right now in Chicago. So the our United States representative office here, and I would like to talk today not mostly about the like a conversion and this the stuff how to make your website or your product, the digital stuff, more like a more competitive on the market and so on. So I will but that's okay. That's a usually great topic to speak about. But today I will speak mostly about the design basics, so how to evaluate your product, so what have to do with the designer or even the product manager, so before you will launch your digital product into the market, and how you can predict and preserve your business from the mistake that might be done um, while you're developing or releasing the product. So, and my topic today is the how to validate um, product hypothesis by usability testing. So um, I will start my speech from the design basics about the usability testings, and so feel free to ask any questions maybe during my, let's say, speech or conversation with you, because I would like to move it run it more like a dialogue than just a presentation. So feel free, just interrupt and ask a questions. So let's start from the basics. What is the usability testing itself? So, and why it slightly different from the traditional testing when you are the usability testing by the quality assurance managers or developers or designers or the manager of the product. The key difference here is because usability testing, or call it user testing, it's not about the bugs. It's about how people feel the overall workflow, how the people feel about the product. So how the people want to reach their goals because of the, let's say, design solution or the product solution which you're doing or presenting. So the user here, it's a big differentiation rather than just finding bugs.
Oleg, sorry, just a question. I believe we can't see your presentation. Let's try to fix this because the information is so useful and that would be nice to see the presentation.
So you cannot see the presentation?
No, we can't. We just can see the your screen, and on the
Okay.
screen we see
Let
you.
let
And
me let me try it one more time. So
sure,
first trying share the screen. Okay, share screen again. So maybe I will and just
if your
let me,
presentation is
yes. Can you see
it's
it
in the
right now?
okay, yeah. Now we
Yeah.
can.
Okay,
This
sounds
one,
great.
yeah?
Yeah,
Cool. Thank you.
yeah. So I'm sorry for that because I was thinking that I have shared the screen. So, and about the advantages and then disadvantages of this methodology. So, the good thing is here that you can just get the feedback from the direct target user audience, and make let's say more effort to the project team to for fill the audience, so that they're developing for some particular persons rather than just for the product release. So it might have also internal debates after the usability testings, just to figure out what the best way to figure that on, or this advantage inside the this that issue inside the product. During the development, and issue and potential problems can be highlighted before the product will be launched. The business advantage is also here, the it increasing the likelihood of usage and repeat usage. So of the product means so more happy users. So because you're not doing just a product for yourself, but you are doing for the audience, and you would like to get the early feedback as soon as possible. So also the one good thing that you you also could test not only the product itself, but some prototypes, or even the rapid prototypes of the solutions that would you like to develop in future. So one more thing is that users are better able to reach their goal, which results in the business meeting. In the business meeting, it's their targets. So, but there are a few disadvantages. The first one, that usability testing, it's mostly uh, quality qualitative results. It's not provide you like a quantitative results, because you have all you the huge possibility is just to have a couple of usability testing to get a qualitative result. So, but it doesn't mean that you can cover a huge audience for that. There are a couple of possibilities. Let's say using some external websites that propose or provide you such possibilities, just to hire as much as possible. Let's say existing let's say user audience, or you will also can hire like possible users or future users from the concrete target audience, but it's slightly and mostly about the qualitative method of the user research. Why do we need usability tests? So the first is about identifying problems in the design of the product or the service. So that's easy and most easiest way to detect those problems or with the usability, even before the product will launch, or even before you will write the first line of the code. Even you have just on the design prototype, and you can validate the workflow with the real users in the real world, uncovering opportunities to improve. Because so you can even be you can even be on your own way, and you can see only one way of the workflow, or the one way of the possible solution. But after the usability testing, so user can also mention some other way how to solve this problem, or how to find some different ways for the or more usable ways just to reach their goals. Learning about the target users, so their behavior and preferences. So that's also a good thing, because you will be able to see how the people react to the product, even before you will launch on the market. So three things: uncover problems in design, discover opportunities, and learn more about the users of the product. So A few words about the types of the usability test. It might be there are three major types that we are figuring out, and also we are following the methodology of the proposed methodology of the Nielsen Norman Group. It's well known California based company, which is their main business is about um, design design education and design certification, but two well-known professionals like Don Norman and Jacob Nielsen. So the first one is comparative usability testing. It means they compare the usability one, let's say, website or one application with another. So it's totally somehow closer to A/B testing, but it means you're not testing the same things of the one product. Rather, you testing two different solutions or two different or even your product and product of your competitor, and you're gonna able to see which way and which workflow will be better for your users or target audience as well. So explorative usability testing, it's highly used in the way how we are working and the experienced designers. It's before a launching new product. I mentioned it's a couple of times. So explorative usability testing will have help you again to meet the needs of the user. So to validate even the just pure design prototypes before you will launch or before you will start any development efforts to build something new. And one more thing at the usability evaluation, it's about the post-launching. It's a post-launching phase. It's about testing, testing like already released services or already released products. So how? So usually it's descriptive methods, so methodology that help you evaluate. So the product or services directly after release. So you can even invite some experts in the some area on some experts from the usability standpoint, or even better to have those experts from the audience which you are targeting for. So to get the evaluation, so to find the potential issues, to highlight some fixes before the, let's say, final product launch. So it means sometimes this usability evaluation it's a part of what we call beta testing. Yes, so before something will go into the huge, let's say, public, for the huge, let's say, public using. So that might be some focus groups or might be some, let's say, expert group which will help you to evaluate this thing from the perspective of usability. Again, so there are two different types for the let's say from the perspective or qualitative and quantitative methods. So I have mentioned a little bit before when I in the previous slide. So when I describe the usability testing as the qualitative way of the usability research, but it somehow can be figured out as the quantitative way. So for qualitative methodology, it focuses on the collecting highlights, finding, and about how the people use the product or services. Qualitative usability will be best for developing, discovering the problems of user experience. So it gives a lot of good information from the first hand. So a lot of descriptive things, a lot of insights from the let's say conversation in person. So the quantitative that it's mostly based on the collecting metrics, um, collecting or proving the metrics that you can put like in front the measuring of the success of this of the concrete let's say product. So and like I said, so the qualitative can be even uh, even when you can post, let's say, some or publish some part of the design prototype or the sub part of the product, so you can give the users give the access to this part, and also add some analytic tools into the prototype or the part of real product, just to figuring out so the how long people will stay on the page, so how long it takes to reach the goal, so goal goes through the workflow and so on. So that's also might be very helpful here. So I will not speak mostly. I will not speak a lot about the usability metrics. So that's might be a slightly a slightly different topic, or even it might be like a separate presentation conversation regarding that. Because right now I'm just talking about the basics and why we need this usability research. So about the remote and person testings, it's like a part of digital transformation, or the transformation of all processes in during the COVID time. So we have to move mostly for the remote testings, but even that it wasn't happened before, so it just in usual time, so there were no such possibilities just to travel across the world and have in-person testing, let's say when you're creating some international product or international service. So that when where you have to hire users, let's say from China, from United States, from Europe, from the Middle East, so that's a remote usability testing session. It's also highly requested, and it helps you to get the more wider audience that just testing in person. So but right now in time of COVID, so I guess a lot of designers so took the challenge of the remote usability testing, and it also has a lot of advantages in comparison to in person. Um, so that's a good stuff right now. Let's a few words about the moderated, moderated and unmoderated. Unmoderated usability testing session. So for the moderated, it's like a usual thing. So I will not stop here. So that's when you're inviting someone to like a desk, to their desk, or or remotely to their screens. So and you can be a facilitator and can propose the script or the tasks, so which the user has complete, and then you will measure and the success of the workflow. And also you can have some kind of mini interview when you can ask user about how you feel about the product, so how it was, so your thoughts and so on. That might be also very helpful and very insightful as well. So but for the unmoderated, so which is mostly about it's some element of the quantitative usability testing, because you have just buy any any plans or the testing or the some, let's say, external testing platform, or you can ask some agency just to hire the like a wider audience of the users. So and you can just prepare a task, or prepare some let's say scenario regarding the prototype of the real test environment of the product. So and propose user to pass this test, or so to go through and to go through this like your through the workflows that you would like to test as well. So at this time, so you're just you have to um, let's say propose scenario or the task. So and the participant will apply to the platform or will be hired by external agencies so they can go through the task, and you can also record the video and so on. But uh, for moderated sessions, that slightly less questions, because people are hired and they know what to do, and they know why they're coming to this testing platform. But for the moderated usability testing session, it's very necessary. There are very necessary two things. The first is just to explain to the participants of usability testing, so you're not testing them, or how they can be fast enough for completing the workflows, but the platform or the product or the website itself. So that's the one thing. And another thing, so it's better when you're alone with user and inside some room, or just for the for the remote session, because so I had in my past in my experience some cases when you would like to test something in like enterprise environment and business environment, and there are let's say the people the person who is testing, and the same his boss in the same time with his boss in the room, and people can be like disappointed to be can be disappointed to be, and can look always to his boss. So am I doing right, am I doing not, and it can be not so reflectable in the results. So it's so that's why you have to keep to be let's say uh, to keep some procedure or for of the usability testing just in person, just two people, you and the participant, or might be you and someone who will take a notes as well. But it should be comfortable for the participants as well. So core elements of the usability testing, it's a facilitator, so who will run this usability testing, so task or scenarios, and of course participants. So like I said, facilitator guides the participants through the test process, gives instructions, so asks the follow-up questions. So as I mentioned before, there is good to have some small interview before, so um, about like a feeling about the product, or just about the nowadays occupation with the of the participant and so on. Task of the usability testing is the scenario of usability testing. It's a very like a crucial thing here, because you have to predict before, so what kind of workflows you have to test, so what kind of questions, what kind of questions should be answered, so what kind of metrics you have set up before you will plan something or write the tasks, because every task, every workflow, each workflow should be dedicated to some metrics to prove it or decline. So that's another purpose. And of course, the participants. So just yesterday, I had worked on on the proposal to the let's say new product development for one company, and so they are asking me, so who you are usually hiring the users. So I usually divide the users or participant to three groups. The first one, it's like internal users, or the business users inside the organization. So that's the most easiest part. So usually I asked, so usually I'm asking for, let's say, administration of the company, just to make some cover letter to ask stakeholders or business users, so for supporting, or so for supporting of this usability testing activities, because they're doing their impact of improving the product or creating some new functionality and so on. So the another thing is external users, and definitely you have, so usually you have to appreciate them for this, like for the usability testing participation. So they, like a platform or external agency, they definitely ask for some amount of payment for the hours that participant will dedicate for usability testing. But from other sides, so there was, so in our practice there was also like a non-material appreciation. So it might be, I don't know, some merch of the concrete merch, souvenirs of the concrete, so product, or some company. So that's also might be, might be like appreciation, not only from the material point of view. Oh, there is some task examples, because to put the right task and the right question during interview is also crucial thing, because you have ask as much as possible, but questions should be open. Yes, so that's not possible to just limited your, let's say, interview just with, let's say, some restrictions and so on, but in the same time, so you have to focus on the things that you have to test, and because you have to reach your results. One more thing, sometimes stakeholders or people say, okay, it's not, so why you're proposing this usability testing or user testing? So we are the product owners, we know completely everything about the product, so we will be testing by ourselves because we know everything about the product. So that's not true. You never be your user. So even because usually when you're testing your product, you have your own opinion. It's definitely depending on your, like, possibilities, budget, and so on. But when you hiring this just a usual people, or just external users, so they can discover more, can be more, let's say, objective rather than your subjective feedback for the product. How many users do we need? So it's usually, so for the wider audience, or for the big products, so customer asking about the, let's say, the, probably up to the 100 users, because they're thinking that as much user we can hire for the usability testing, so it's as much, let's say, hypothesis we can validate, or we can prove some, let's say, usability flaws. But there is a minimum, let's say, a minimum quantity of the, or recommended quantity of the participants, or for usability study. It's recommended again by the Nielsen Normal Group. It's the 5 persons, because as you can see here, it's about, on this graph on the right side. So it's about how many users can, let's say, so how many users can bring the most value. So they said that after, so 5 users will give you, the, let's like a, uh, uh, they can give the major insights. So another five, or another quantity of the user will give you the same plus some new. So that means that minimum quantity for the users from usability studies should be 5. If you want more, so please, but it also depending for the cost and the budget of the usability study. So here is one of our, let's say, usability study. So it's like a real client proposal. So we were validating different medical physical devices. So when we are proposing for to have this, let's say, discovery in the 5 stages, for 4 steps. So the first one is ongoing listening. So just to get understanding from the market and from the user needs, so to collect as much as possible data and information. So the next is the validation and testing. So we also start here from the first five users. Post launch, it again ongoing listening for the after the after the launch. So get after the launch of the product, so gathering the data for actual users, and so different type of data. So it might be like a post-release interviews, or the like some quantitative things. So just to send the surveys about the opinion for the product, and um, gathering after gathering all those insights. So they're usually we're planning the next iteration, next part of the user research, just for improving, or if, or filling the gaps, or planning the next iteration for the let's say usability improvements to make this, let's say, product or website more enhanced and more usable for the audience. Uh, Again, I said before, so we can test wireframe prototype of the real product. And maybe I will switch to how to collect the data. So that's one more thing, because like I mentioned before, so there are a lot of platforms, and here is also a good slide about what kind of platforms might be helpful for what kind of data collecting. So for qualitative, there are like tools such as Lookback. It's a good stuff, because you have that's a really easy installable application, when you can at the same time recording the screen. So it means like user behavior inside the application, and at the same time like emotion of the person. So using the laptop front camera, or just front camera of the mobile phone, and you can capturing in the same time, and it gives use the possibility to have like a video from the both sides. Also quantitative data from the right side, it's like application like a maze. So it's extension for the envision prototyping tool, which gives you a possibility gives you a possibility to make some measurements, like especially from the time spending on the page perspective, and so on. Or the for it's like extension for the envision prototyping tool, and it gives also a possibility to make A/B testing, just using only prototype, not the real product. So you can even have a couple of patterns, and you can also see which one will be better for the users, and more, let's say, visible, more easy for them, and so on. A few words about the artifacts and the session, and the our usability sessions. It's again real proposal for the customers. Um, so the planning session, so usability test before the session, including task scenario and the question for the mini interview. It's about 10-15 minutes. So next is the running session. So that's like screenshots from the usability testing running remotely. So using just Microsoft Teams. So where you can share the screen and you will definitely use some let's say software solution for the capturing. And also analysis of the results. So that's like a specific board when we are trying to figure out and find the best highlights from different, let's say, from different participants, just to figure out and just to figure out what is good, what is bad, and also to group by the sections. So because you definitely have to sort this information afterwards, just to figuring out what is the like a subjective opinion, what is like a repeatable opinion, and might be more objective. So where you can focus in for on your, let's say, future enhancement on the prototype, or even for the product and so on. That's a just a wider screen of this procedure. So, in the few words for the just last minute, so the few words about the case studies. So the first one, it's about we had created our developed our internal platform for cryptocurrency. So inside our company, for appreciate some let's say employees for their like good advantages, good like or good uh, results in their like a daily work and so on. And from one side and from another side, that it was built on the blockchain methodology. It will also help us for the just to explain our future customers what means this cryptocurrency, what means the blockchain technology, and so on. And one Japanese company has asked us to apply the same thing into their environment and just create the prototype of the solution for the let's say for the some Japanese companies for the for the employee appreciation. So, and we did in the same way. So we translate the application, make the prototype using Japanese. So it's slightly than a just a general application, because it's Japanese market, and everything has to be more adopted here. But the the way how we evaluate this was the same. So just a pure prototype in the first hand. So our representatives and our partners in Japan and Tokyo. So they took this prototype and went through the companies, so the HR departments and so on, just to get the first feeling from the possibilities, get the first feeling from the solving of the, let's say, it's not the problem, but maybe let's say solving the problem of the appreciation inside the company. So and much and what is more better, but much better, is that we also hire let's say up to 20 persons that are just the usual employees inside Japanese companies. So when they run through and these workflows and the prototype, it give us a lots of results. So will it fit into the market? So will it cover the needs of the users and so on? It was very helpful just for us to understand, will we invest in that project or not. So that also it's a translated result, because we had Japanese native speakers on their side on site, but that's also the results of usability testings for the like representatives in Japan. So it also give us and a lot of possibilities for improving and understanding, are we doing the right, going in the right way, or have to improve something slightly, let's say. And maybe my last case study here, it's also from Japan. So that's the company asked us to improve their. Um, it's not about the digital product. They ask us to improve the process how to feel or how to understand which of the products are out of stores, so and how to fill the capacity of the product, so in the most efficient way. That was also like a we the first part of this research was just um, uh, was just the observation. So we were trying to figure out how it goes nowadays in some of the stores. So how these products, so how frequent you're filling the capacity on the products and so on. um, uh, and then so we had the great chance just to test it physically, so to rebuild some processes inside the store. So we learn how frequent you can fill the product capacity, how the changing the planogramming of the um, products on the shelves and so on, and trying to trying to iterate every next time, so every 2 days, just to figure it out the best fitable way for solving this problem. So that's another way how the usability testing. So, but it means the usability in the uh, like a physical way, not in digital products. So it can be tested even inside the physical environment. Uh, then also that's a usual, let's say, one more artifact. It's usual way of the usability interview. So just to summarize everything, so starting with the script of mini interview. So then task with the prototype or even the test version of real product. So next is the usability report. So you can just see here some examples, and of course there should be some kind of the usability report, and of course an action plan. So what you have to do or enhance even in the prototype on the real product. So I think that's all from my side. So I'm ready for your questions. If you have one, please feel free to ask.
Okay, cool. Oleg, thank you so much for sharing your presentation. That was really interesting to listen to all of these insights. And I really like Alex. I remember when I was a student, I heard about this company. So it recollected, like some student memories in me. So we have a question about the bounce rate. This is the question that we ask each of our speaker today. Let's say there is a website which is suffering from a high bounce rate. What would be your advice on how to solve this problem?
Um, Again, so I'm not so let's say in the professional way of the, let's say, bounce rates and the things like that, but I'm guessing. So that's as a usual designer what I what I can do. So the first one is the ask, look through the analytics. So what we can read from the, let's say, analytics standpoint. So it might be from it depending on the tool that we can apply there to this website or even to the product. So just to understand what analytic can set to us. So learn the digit. So that's one thing. Another thing. So it's not maybe not relevant here. So they ask someone uh, from, let's say, from external audience, just to give maybe this advice or collect some information from there. In this concrete, I guess, this concrete example. So I guess the major thing will be to learn the analytics and find a decision around that. So I don't have just a red or blue pillow, because as every researcher or every designer, so we know the first rule: learn first, then decide. So
Right, learn, test, It's
Yeah.
not that easy to answer. Okay, maybe one more question that we also try to see how different the opinions of each speaker is. So there was this first question when the listener asked about the background color. Does the background color affect the conversion rate of an online store? And there was an exact example. Let's say you change white to black. Do you believe there will be a huge change?
Um, so there are two things. So very tiny. I'm looking through the LinkedIn. So they are so in other websites. So different. If you can just review for example like Google services or the LinkedIn. So they slightly change it in comparison to LinkedIn. So they slightly changing their gray color. It's not so visible, but Mm, yeah, and it confuses a bit because you're not associating these like a different shade of the gray with the usual behavior in the on the in on web. So I think it's not reflecting a lot, but I guess it confused a little bit. But let's see what happened with that. So with that experiment, so that's one thing. Another thing, so I will say it's up to the tests. So I will run tests before it will go into production, and it will I will explore before. So will the color, if the color of the background we change some user behavior. So and change the digits regarding the metrics numbers of the metrics. So, and one more thing again to predict that, so that also could be run by A/B test. And as far as I remember, so when the iOS and the macOS, so they are trying to figure out, they're trying to start with their dark mode, if you know. So they before they run a test for different audience, so to switch, let's say to give the possibility for the part of the audience just to switch to the dark mode. And they were trying to figure out so how many um, how many users will use this feature. So and as you can see, so in the iOS and Mac, so in a lot of applications, so they are switching between the light mode and dark mode. So it means it works. So and usually, so the good thing is to give the option to the user. So even you would like to change your background color to black, so give this option for the users who are up to their decision. So they can even switch if you then can see that the majority of the users so using the black background, so make it just default option. So that's also possible. So in this case, I also will say just to predict. So in tests and the research um, will help you a lot for that prediction. So yes, and A/B testings as well. So just but don't. So for the A/B test, will be very like a crucial or very unexpected for the users when the some amount of the audience so just can see the black background instead of white. And let's say you, you will have the black background and your colleague near or next to you will have a white, and you will be wondering because of that. So I guess this way, so I will recommend to go through giving this option to the person to the user, so to switching to another background. So and then learn how the if it will increase metrics or again decrease, so how the people will like this option.
Right. Thank you so much. So all about testing and
Yeah.
running the experiments. Thank you, Alex, so much for your presentation, for sharing, and for your time. We wish you to have a good day, I believe, right? So
Okay,
it's
thanks a lot. See ya.
thank you too. Bye bye.